What if I told you that today, the very day you're watching this video, is responsible for some of the most insane, unbelievable, and world-changing events ever recorded? We dug through thousands of years of history to find the wildest things that all happened on this exact date. We're talking about a city being completely flattened by a natural disaster, a chicken that lived for 18 months without a head, a discovery in space that changed everything, and that's not even half of it. I wanted to see just how crazy one single day could be, so my team and I spent the last few weeks compiling this list. Honestly, what we found is going to blow your mind. This isn't just a history lesson, this is a roller coaster of human experience, all packed into one 24-hour period across centuries. We're going to witness sheer destruction, unbelievable survival, moments that defined scientific progress, and a fight for justice that is shockingly recent. Each of these stories is crazier than the last, and they all share one thing in common: today's date. I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never look at the calendar the same way again. So, are you ready to have your mind blown? Because we are about to jump into a time machine and witness 5 of the most wild moments that happened today in history. We have a lot to get through, so make sure you're buckled in. We're starting with an event so destructive it was called the Lesser Judgment Day. Let's get into it. Imagine waking up to the ground beneath you literally ripping itself apart. On September 10, 1509, that was the reality for the people of Constantinople, the heart of the Ottoman Empire. This wasn't just a tremor, it was a cataclysmic earthquake estimated to be a 7.2 on the Richter scale. The event became known as the Lesser Judgment Day because the devastation was so absolute. Think about that for a second. It was so bad, people thought it was a preview of the end of the world. Over 1,000 houses were instantly leveled. The walls of the city, which had stood for centuries, crumbled like they were made of sand. We're talking about a level of destruction that's almost impossible to comprehend. The human cost was staggering. Historical accounts say that somewhere between 5,000 and 13,000 people died in an instant. The quake triggered a massive tsunami in the Sea of Marmara, with waves so high they breached the city walls and flooded entire districts. Imagine surviving the ground shaking only to be swept away by a wall of water. The aftermath was pure chaos. For 45 days, aftershocks continued to rock the city, meaning nobody felt safe. People were terrified to go back inside any building that was still standing, so they lived in makeshift camps in open squares, gardens, and parks for months. It was a city of 1 million people, suddenly homeless and living in constant fear. So what caused this? Constantinople sits right on the North Anatolian Fault, one of the most active and dangerous fault lines in the world. It's a ticking time bomb, and in 1509 it went off with unimaginable force. The immediate aftermath saw Sultan Bayezid II launch one of the largest reconstruction efforts in history. He levied special taxes and brought in tens of thousands of workers from across the empire to rebuild. He basically put an entire empire on pause to fix its capital. It literally reshaped one of the greatest cities on earth and forced an empire to its knees. It showed that no matter how powerful you are always at the mercy of the planet you live on. Now we're jumping forward about 100 years to 1622 in Nagasaki, Japan, for an event known as the Great Genna Martyrdom. And I have to warn you, this story is incredibly brutal. Imagine a government rounding up 55 of its own people, men, women, even children, and publicly burning them alive or beheading them all because of their religious beliefs. This wasn't a secret execution, it was a public spectacle, designed to send a message of pure terror. The victims were Catholic missionaries, Japanese converts, and their crime was simply practicing a faith that the government had outlawed. It's a chilling example of what happens when power and intolerance collide. The ruling shogunate grew increasingly paranoid that Christianity was a tool for foreign colonization. They saw it as a threat to their power and to Japanese culture. So, they banned it. All right, let's take a break from all the death and destruction. On this day in 1945, a farmer in Colorado named Lloyd Olson went out to his barn to get a chicken for dinner. He picked a 5.5-month-old rooster, swung his axe, and chopped its head off. But then something impossible happened. The chicken didn't die. It staggered around for a bit and then just went on with its day. It tried to peck for food and even attempted to crow. This was the beginning of the legend of Mike the Headless Chicken. The next morning, Lloyd Olson went outside and found the chicken sleeping, with what was left of its neck tucked under its wing. He was so stunned, he decided to try and keep it alive. He started feeding it a mixture of milk and water with an eyedropper directly into its esophagus, and it worked. The chicken, which he named Mike, didn't just survive for a few hours or a few days. Mike the Headless Chicken lived for an incredible 18 months. When Olson swung the axe, the blow missed the jugular vein and left the brainstem almost entirely intact. The brainstem controls most of a chicken's basic reflexes. Word got out, and Mike became a national celebrity. At the peak of his fame, Mike was earning $4,500 a month. That's over $60,000 in today's money. Mike's strange story ended in 1947 when he choked in a motel room. The town of Fruita, Colorado, still holds an annual Mike the Headless Chicken Festival to this day. In 2009, September 10, 2009, we're in Atlanta, Georgia at a popular gay bar called the Atlanta Eagle. It was a normal Thursday night. People were relaxing, having a drink, enjoying themselves. Suddenly, without warning, the doors burst open, and heavily armed police officers from the Atlanta Police Department's Red Dog unit stormed in. They forced everyone to the ground, shouting orders, treating patrons and employees like dangerous criminals. This wasn't a response to a specific crime in progress. It was a full-blown paramilitary-style raid on a community space. What happened that night was terrifying and humiliating. Patrons reported being slammed to the floor, having officers' boots on their necks, and being subjected to anti-gay slurs. The police didn't have a search warrant for the bar itself, only for the manager's office upstairs. Yet they detained everyone inside for hours, running background checks on every single person. In the end, 8 people were arrested for minor permit violations, charges that were later dropped. This raid happened decades after the Stonewall riots, an event that was supposed to have ended this kind of police harassment of gay bars. The community response was powerful and swift. A lawsuit was filed against the city of Atlanta on behalf of the patrons. The subsequent investigation revealed systemic misconduct leading to the disbandment of the controversial Red Dog unit, the firing of several officers, and a complete overhaul of police training procedures. The city eventually settled the lawsuit for over $1 million. Now for a quick-fire round of other notable people connected to this day in history. Born on this day in 1751 was Emanuel Schikaneder, most famous for writing the libretto for Mozart's opera The Magic Flute. Also born today in 1890 was Elsa Schiaparelli, a revolutionary fashion designer and rival to Coco Chanel. On the other side, this was the day Mary Wollstonecraft died in 1797. She was an English writer and early feminist philosopher who wrote A Vindication of the Rights of Woman. And finally, we lost Jane Wyman in 2007. She was an Academy Award-winning actress and the first wife of Ronald Reagan, living through immense change from the Great Depression to the digital age. So there you have it, an earthquake that leveled an empire, a brutal martyrdom, a new world discovered in the sky, a chicken that defied biology, and a fight for justice that happened in our lifetime, all on the same day in history. It's insane to think about how much triumph and tragedy can be packed into a single date on the calendar. It shows that history isn't some boring collection of dates in a textbook. It's a chaotic, unbelievable, and deeply human story that is still being written every single day. From the terror in 1509 Constantinople to the defiance in 2009 Atlanta, we can be brought to our knees by nature, but we can also rebuild. We can be subjected to the worst cruelty, but we can also stand for our beliefs until the very end. We can reach for the stars from our own balcony and change science forever. Today wasn't just another day, it was a day that shaped cities, cultures, science, and rights. Thank you so much for going on this crazy historical journey with me. If this video blew your mind, hit that subscribe button. Which of these moments shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. We spent a ton of time putting this together, so every like and subscribe helps more than you know. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.